Hi there, and welcome to Optimize Every Day. So, we talk about a 1% improvement daily, and um, that works a lot, especially when you're trying to do something new. I remember when I was in high school, I pole vaulted, and when I was pole vaulting, I would practice every day. I would sit there and run up hills, and I would practice and practice and practice. I went from going clearing 8 feet to clearing 14 feet. Um, that was a lot of work to get and perform to that level where I literally was able to reach that 14-foot milestone. So that said, if you're looking at pole vaulting and improving 1%, at what point does a 1% improvement as far as reaching up into the sky no longer succeed? Well, it doesn't take very long because, right now the highest heights are in the 20-something foot mark, and that's after years and years and years. So is 1% something that you can do consistently over time and make happen? Well, yes and no. We have to be choosing where we're improving our 1%. Improving our behaviors 1%, we'll reach a point of maximum saturation at some point, and we change our focus to another part of our life where we apply that 1%. At some point, we always reach a saturation point where it's very difficult to reach a 1% improvement. But optimizing every day is not always about having a 1% improvement every single day. Well, that's what we strive for. At some point, optimizing every day means that we're doing the very best that we can each and every day. And when we're doing the very best that we can, even if it's not 1%, it's an improvement, or it's making something better in some way, shape, or form, whether that is directly impacting ourselves or it's impacting somebody else. There's a story about the British bicycling team who back in if I remember right, 2003, they hadn't done very well in biking for many, many years, decades even. And they had a new coach, and I wish I could remember his name, but he was able to work with that team so that they were constantly improving every day. Was the optimization at a full 1% every day? Probably not. But it was enough that over a 10-year period of time, that cycling team went from one of the worst to being one of the best. So when we're improving every day, it's not a situation of we're making a 100% improvement on ourselves. We're making a choice to be better. And when we're better, if we make it to that 1%, fantastic. If we just are better than we were the day before and going above what has become the status quo, then we are making that improvement that we're looking for. We're optimizing ourselves. So optimizing every day is essential. It's essential to how we work, how we play, how we interact with people, and how we become a better person. It's not, trying to do 1,000 push-ups. If I start today and I do one push-up and I do a 1% improvement on push-ups, and I started with one, I can go a long time before I reach my saturation point where I can't improve much better. But once I reach that point, that's where my improvement ends. But if I'm starting at one, obviously it's going to take a long time at improving 1%. And I may see more than 1% improvement on some days. And my strength and everything else, improving that makes me better. It has physiological and mental and other aspects that benefit me personally in my self-improvement goals. When I'm looking at specific behaviors, if you're a drug addict or somebody who wants to reduce the amount of alcohol you're consuming or reduce the number of cigarettes you're smoking, a 1% improvement on that every day is not going to be a lot. Maybe you should be looking at a higher percentage of improvement when you're working on those, reducing those negative behaviors. Because reducing negative behaviors has a slower rate of decline than does the 1% improvement. Either way, we need to be optimizing ourselves. It's not about the 1%. It's about the optimization and how when we make behavioral changes that impact ourselves, they also impact others. We can't expect others to change for us. We need to change for ourselves. So when we work to optimize ourselves every day, we benefit not only ourselves, but our family, our friends, our communities, and everyone is benefiting from our efforts to improve and optimizing. Because when we optimize, we're at our max potential that we have at the moment. So what's optimal today may not be optimal tomorrow, but we're seeking that optimal performance. And when we do that and we perform to our capacity, we are optimizing ourselves. So look at different things in your life and see where you are at in optimizing, and see how much improvement you have available to you to improve, and then make those necessary improvements. It's not a one size fits all, because what's optimization for you, maximum optimization, is going to be different from another person. Our skills are different, our capabilities are different, but as a group, all those pieces can form and make things even better as a team. So in a business environment, If the team is optimizing, that means everybody is working at their peak and doing what they need to be doing. And as a team, the team does better. And it's not just one person trying to take the load. It's everyone taking a piece of the load and working on those things that they do best. So let's leave it there for tonight, and we can talk about this again on another time. But be optimal and optimize yourself and be your best self.